Howdy, this is Alejandro Hans. Welcome to my new video series, How to Rank for Everything and Anything and Then Some, in which I will show you the methodology that I outlined and break down step-by-step manner in the video that will be linked here and in the description box below, where I show the process that we use to get the data to know how many links you need to rank number one in any niche. And we've gotten results like this, and this consistently in niches as varied as medical equipment, casino, Bitcoin, servers, B2B, SaaS, e-commerce, everything you can possibly imagine. We've done it, we've ranked it. And the science boils down to very simple math to begin with, to get the numbers, and then a bit of a nuanced understanding of the SERP and those numbers, which is what I will do exactly on these videos. The first of these cases is going to be personal injury law. Let's go right into it. Alright, so we're here with our fictitious firm, Major Hans Injury Law, who wants to rank for everything related to personal injury law in the city of New York, specifically for Manhattan. And as you can see, we have no points, which will be similar to the case for you if you're just starting with your SEO. Maybe you already established in virtue of other client acquisition channels, or for any of your clients if you take them and they're just starting out. But of course, if you want to see where you stand with your SEO, there's a link in the description box below where you can actually get this data for your brand. Whichever case, as you'll remember from the other video that I talked about and to how to get this data, the first thing that we gotta do is, this is the same method that we're gonna follow here with our competitors, right? We gotta see who are our competitors, right? So who are our competitors here? And this particular case, Rosenbaum and Gear are the guys that are performing the best throughout the niche. You will see that in a second. So I want to keep most of my attention here. And how did we get these numbers? How do we know how many quality links do they have and how those links are pushing up their rankings? Very simple. We follow this formula that we have in here, where basically what we do is we go through the entire backlink profile and we look for what backlinks are noise and which backlinks are signal. For this, we follow a simple principle. Any backlink can basically pass a combination of trust, authority, and relevance. And without trust, these two don't matter so much. So this is our starting point where we distinguish between these two. Any site that has good organic traffic of their own accord and they rank for their own target keywords has just enough trust with Google to be a valid site, and therefore the links that live within that site pointing to other sites will also be trusted and count for our rankings or the competitors' rankings. From there, we're gonna then look into the authority. That's the next level that we're gonna split this up, and we're gonna split it by the different domain rating buckets. And this bucket here, we're gonna ignore all throughout this process because of this analysis that the guys at Ahrefs did, where basically you can see that any domains that are DR30 or lower don't really rank for very many keywords, but at the moment that you cross that threshold, you start ranking for everything. So you can see here the DR60 plus, this is where all the winners are really, right? And throughout our 6 years of experience doing link building for some of the world's best brands, we've seen the same to be applicable. And then the last level is going to be the relevance, and it's a multiplying factor. What the relevance does is it makes a link that will be great coming from a site with lots of trust and high authority to be even greater, or not as good. It doesn't mean that it makes them bad, it's just not as good. And this is the fundamental formula, right? Where basically we look at the website and the page. If the website linking to our site or the competitor is relevant to what we do, that's going to be great. That's going to get 1 point. If the page within the website that links to us is relevant to the page within our website where the link is pointing to, then that's going to get another point. We will very rarely see links worth 2 points. Most links will be worth 1 point or half. Because relevance needs to be very, very tight, very broad relevances, we really tend to downscore them. So we work with ugly numbers. And then when it comes to us building links for the clients, we try to get sites that are as relevant as possible. Sometimes we have to be a bit creative because there aren't that many really high quality websites to get, and it's better to aim higher in quality and slightly lower in relevance than do it the other way around, because that's where the problems come. If you have a really high quality trusted website that is very good and is only okay relevant, but then you send them a very relevant piece of content both for them and to you, then you get 1 point, which is what most links will have anyway, and you're fine. And that's how we get this trust, authority, relevance in place. We focus here on the signal, we ignore the noise, and we factor this in. That's exactly what we've done here for these 3 competitors. And as you can very clearly see, like I said, Rosenbaum and Gerger are the ones that are doing the best. You will see that in a second. They are at very different stages. Rosenbaum is a lot better established when it comes to link building. For the record, nothing on this video is any sort of qualitative assessment about their SEO as a whole or their brands as businesses. This is exclusively a look at the backlink profile from our unique lens that allow us to rank for everything and anything in any niche throughout the very many years that we've been in business, so that you can craft a winning link building campaign if you work on this niche. Okay, let that be very clear. These guys are the winners, and these guys are not getting as much traffic and as many positions, but they're also way behind when it comes to link building. What does that mean? For the particular case that we're doing here, which is a brand starting from 0, what I would do is I would bridge the gap with Gerger as my stage 1. Let's get there as quickly as possible and then crack into the top 5 for all the important keywords. And then from there, do a reassessment of all this data, see if anything has changed, and do a stage 2 campaign where we're gonna catch up with Rosenbaum. Very straightforward. What does this mean in practical terms? Well, something else that we need to take into account is the velocity. These companies are acquiring links at a general average speed of about 10 backlinks per month. This is a 30, 60, and 90-day time frame. So you can see they acquired a few more links in the last 3 months, in the last month not so many, on average about 10 links, which means that if we're trying to bridge the gap with Rosenbaum, who has about 240 points, and we said, cool, let's build 10 links per month for the next 2 years, you'll bridge the gap that you have today in 2 years from now, but in 2 years, you'll have a gap that is just as big as the original one, even though you'll be way better established because now you have 240 quality backlinks and you will likely be kicking ass in the SERPs. We know the velocity that the competitors are getting away from us. We know how far away they are. Amazing. What do? We can work with a bit of this average and says, okay, if on average they have this many points, and if let's go and try and bridge this gap. Let's go at least do this. This is another very important point here, is how far ahead are they in the domain rating scale. Yes, domain rating is a third-party metric that Google doesn't use, but when not manipulated, it's actually a pretty accurate metric to look at to have a quantitative assessment on where we are in the SEO landscape. So we know we need to go from here to here, and that this is a really good way of getting there. And now let's look at the keyword breakdown level to see to what pages to point those links, with what anchor text, at what velocity, and how to truly craft a campaign that will actually deliver and rank us for a variety of bottom of the funnel keywords that will actually transform into hot cases for imaginary law firm, and in your case, a very real law firm, right? If you're watching this, if you run a company like this, or if you have clients in this space, or if you want to get clients in this space, you're just not quite sure how to rank them. This is exactly how you rank them. I'm going to cover most in this video around backlinks, but I will give you a few other considerations to take into account. This is the exact same process that we've been following for years. Let's go. Keywords that we've looked at. These 7 here, typically I would recommend clients to get anything between 10 and 15, just to get a slightly wider sample of the competitive landscape that they have, the different competitors that they will show up. As you will see here, there's different people popping up for car accident that there is for pedestrian or bicycle, which tells us there's a bit of variety of competitors, right, at different cases, different stages. And what's most important is that there's just a ton of search volume for bottom of the funnel keywords. This is very important because all the people right now talking nonsense that SEO is dead. Everyone who's looking at these keywords knows what problem they have and knows the solution that they need, and they're not going to trust an AI overview with a solution. They're not going to trust a TikTok. They're not going to trust a random Facebook ad. They want to get a curated list by the world's best search engine, and they want to go and see those websites, and if the website speaks directly to them and the situation and they build enough trust for them to go and hit the call button, you will have a lead, and that lead will be very, very ready to convert, because nobody looks at this keyword app unless they've been involved in a track accident, and therefore they need a lawyer and they need help. So this is very important. What keywords do you choose to put your attention to when it comes to doing an analysis like this? Is going to be the make it or break it between wasting your time looking at top of the funnel keywords where the AI overview will give all the answers and they won't convert anyway, or bottom of the funnel stuff that will produce cases. So if we come here, before we get into that breakdown, we need to acknowledge something else. All those points that we looked at earlier, these are the tier 1 points, okay? Those are the links that point directly to the competitors in these particular cases. But those pages where the links live also receive backlinks. This is why the web is called the web, right? Those are called tier 2 links. That's the next layer of the onion. And if we ignore it, we might have a track hidden behind a door, and then we bang into the door and we wonder why the door doesn't open. So we need to look into how much power do those exact pages that point to the competitors who are outranking us have there as a backup, so that we can replicate that when we build our lead building campaign. And in this particular case, we see a very decent volume of links here for Rosenbaum and Gergier. Okay, to explain this is basically 32 pages pointing to Rosenbaum, have between 1 and 3 links pointing to that page, tier 2 links, which will make that page slightly stronger than it would be if it had 0 referring domains, right? 9 of those pages have between 4 and 10, and 9 have 11 plus. If you wonder how we got this data, it's on the video that I link again there on the description box below, called how to know how many links to rank number 1, where I actually enter into how we get all this data and why it matters into a lot more detail. So if we were to do this comparison, we know we are going to have to build some tier 2 links to power up our tier 1s. We can't just build the tier 1s and expect for that to do the full job. Good. I'm going to skip this slide on anchor text, so I'll come back in a second. Let's go and look at our first main keyword, Manhattan personal injury lawyer. This is what we want to rank for with our homepage. Again, the idea here is 1 page, 1 goal. Don't try to rank your homepage for everything. Manhattan personal injury lawyer, bike accident lawyer, car accident lawyer, and expect that to work well and to stick over time, because that's not what happens. And this is why you have to select a wide scope of keywords within the bottom of the funnel to see what's going on. And in this first case, we see the guys at number 1 are ranking with an inner page, number 2 and number 3 are home pages. Rosenbaum we've seen earlier, so we know what they're doing. Gray we haven't seen before, and the Barnes we haven't seen before yet. Very quickly we can see how the Barnes is outranking 2 home pages, which in general are way stronger pages to rank with than an inner page, because they've built a track load of backlinks. We don't need to do this. We don't need to build this many backlinks to our homepage to rank our homepage for this, because these 2 guys have done it with way less. And these are the quality links, right? So we know if we do something like these 2 guys, we will be fine, for as long as we also do everything else that they did in terms of the content, the brand sentiment, the user experience, and so forth, which I will enter later, okay? If we were to build anything between these 2 numbers, which is roughly this here, we should be okay to rank for this keyword. Now the question is, what anchor text do we use on those backlinks? And typically, the general rules, which is what we have here, will tell you that, okay, for the homepage, go about 85% branded, which makes the most sense. It's also the most natural to get. It helps with AI overviews and whatnot because of brand sentiment. Sure, and then about 15% keyword reach. However, while general rules are generally safe to follow and they generally deliver results, for this specific case they would fail us, and this is why you need to get data for your exact keywords in your city, in your country now, on the state of affairs and your SERPs now, not 5 months ago and not in 5 months from now, so that you know exactly if the word that you're putting on today is on the right path or not. And in this particular case, what we see is actually the competitors ranking are very aggressive with their anchor text profile, and even though that's not what we normally see across most niches, it's working for this niche in this city. There's a very small amount of branded anchor text here, actually. So you can go higher in the amount of branded anchor text, but you will need a solid amount of keyword rich anchor text. This is not to say that you have to follow the exact same percentages. It means that you have to build at least this many in proportion, and then later, if you want to increase your branded anchor text is always have to build, then you can do that. So how would I distribute that? I would go here to these higher DR links, right? And I will build those as my exact match and partial match. Then the lower DR links, I will build that as my branded anchor text. For the next keyword, what do we encounter? All inner pages. Inner page, inner page, inner page, inner page. Amazing level playing field with one big outlier, which is a spectral law, which is the first time that we see, right? Rosenbaum and Geiger, we already know. This is good. This is really good. This is a bit of a question mark. Why do they have so many freaking backlinks with a strong DR? And why are they number 3 only? There's a couple of options here. Either one, they're posed to outdo everyone else and move themselves to the top 1 in virtue of these backlinks kicking in. They might be very new. 2, they're on the way down because they've overdone it. That also happens. Yes, you can overdo your link building, very easy as getting short. So I would, for the sake of simplicity, ignore this particular competitor now, because now what we're drafting is our plan for the next few months based on a plan that, if we were to execute in full, should really get us to a first stage of success. And I would instead replicate what these guys have done, go and build this. Not even that, realistically on this stage when we're only launching the domain, I would do what these guys have done with 3 backlinks here on the DR60, we're fine. Yes, they have a couple of DR30s. This is gonna be 80% of the job. This is the only 20%, again, it's because the DR range is a logarithmic scale. So a DR60 is many times more powerful than a DR30. It's not only twice as powerful, right? So if we just do this, and that already cracks us somewhere to the top 10, and we start getting traffic to that page, and we start getting some core web vitals information, and we start getting some conversion information and so forth, then we have a broader picture SEO wise for the performance of the page, the on-site SEO and so forth, to see if it's worth going ahead and building 11 high DR links to really catch up with Rosenbaum. And if we were to do so, will we outdo them, or should we cover all the boxes first that are a little bit cheaper, because links are not cheap. And that's the way it is. Good links produce rankings. Rankings produce a lot of money. If you rank number 1 for this, you are making money. This is one case, okay? Another case here is gonna be track accidents, where familiar guys, new guys, all inner pages, amazing, no one has anything. This is wide open. This is up for grabs. This keyword is just looking for someone to publish a really good page on this, throw a couple of high DR backlinks, but apparently with only 1 DR30 you're served, and just go on and capture it. So a really good case where you can just go and build 1 or 2 links on the high DR range with partial match, and you will be solid. For motorcycle accidents, very similar case. Geiger, Rosenbaum, and WRSH. With not a lot. Again, we can do the same, build a couple of DR30s, see if that cracks is there, and then if not, just build some more, or do a bit of an average state of the numbers. Very simple, partial match, Bob's your uncle. Now for bicycle accident lawyer, we have a different case. We have 2 homepages, this one here and this one here. Lucarelli and Castaldi is the first time that we see them. So it's quite safe to assume that they've optimized very well for this particular case here. Of course, I shouldn't do out of other things. But this particular one, for sure, New York bike lawyer, we need to completely ignore. Why are we ignoring this one? Because in the current state of the algorithm, New York bike lawyer is fundamentally an exact match domain. Exact match domains have an insanely overpowered boost in virtue of every single query that happens like this, counting as a branded query in a way, and therefore massively boosting their brand signals plus the relevant signals, plus the user engagement signals, because everyone will be clicking on it because it's an exact match. So from a logical standpoint, they have an unfair advantage against everyone who just has a brand name, especially if the brand name is not very well positioned, aka not very well known, which is where our fictitious Mayhan's injury law brand would be starting. So we have to completely ignore this and looks apples to apples, and Gear is the only one that's apples to our apple, and they have virtually nothing. They only have a couple of links there. Let's go and do that. Couple links, let's see what happens that, and we can always go and build a couple more to outrank them. Pedestrian accident lawyer, back to what we saw before, Gear, Rosenbaum, Bloco tool, virtually nothing, and actually nothing, right? Only a couple of links. We could build these two and these two, or only one of each, and see if that's plenty to outdo Rosenbaum, once we also, of course, catch up on the DR, yeah? Which, let's remember that Rosenbaum is one of the strongest competitors in this space in general. And then we have Slip and Fall Lawyer, which has another new guy here, injury claim, and Rosenbaum again, but then Rosenbaum has a lot more points than before. Why? Probably because a lot of the backlinks that point to them at the page level relevance are insanely more relevant than they were before, just for the general broad term, right? So what this tells me is I should most likely focus on catching up with Barnes. This is a homepage in general we should ignore. We have an inner page, and these guys here we haven't seen before, but the general terms are the same. A DR 39 plus, DR 46. The problem is that they have a ton of backlinks, right? They have a ton of backlinks. Well, these guys have way fewer. Okay, so I'd rather do this first, and then see if that gets me somewhere in the top 3, and then we can go and catch up with this again, stage 1 and stage 2. So this will be the average. Don't do the average, because the average will drive you insane. Just look at the nuance and just do this 9. Now, if we were to put everything together, that will give us that we need about 74 backlinks and 30 DR points to go from nowhere to very close to where the winning guys are. That's gonna cost X, depends massively on your link acquisition methods, whether you do it in-house, whether you're outsourcing to a freelancer, or whether you're partnering with a dedicated professional link building agency like ours, right? Different costs for different types of results. What matters is that now you have certainty in terms of what you actually have to do, and the type of links that you have to build from a DR standpoint, like how many medium strength backlinks and how many really strong backlinks. In terms of acquisition tactics, I would recommend that you go with any sort of digital PR, whether it's a story-driven digital PR or huddling building reactive PR, for the backlinks that you need for the homepage. But for all these inner pages, you are going to need either link insertions or guest posts. And my favorite are guest posts, because we know we need tier 2s. With guest posts, we can double down on the relevance, have perfect control on the anchor text. We have perfect control on the vetting of the website, because we don't have to get a link insertion on a relevant page that might be on a garbage domain for the sake of make sure that it's relevant, because why would we get a link insertion on an irrelevant page, right? So if we can get a domain that is very high quality, that is relevant or relevant-ish, but we can send them a very good piece of content that is highly relevant, we will get the points that we need to get, and the quality never gets compromised, and that's where you should never compromise. And then we build the tier 2s to add the power that we knew from the beginning that we have to add anyway. And that's how you become very effective at bridging the gap through the most appropriate technique for each case. Just because digital PR is all the rage now doesn't mean that it's the right solution for everything. Just because some people push link insertions very hard because that's the only thing that the agency can produce, doesn't even mean that that's the right solution in this particular case, right? Everything is highly contextual when it comes to SEO. None of these numbers are also written in stone and it's a set and forget. Again, you might get clarity here, says, oh cool, let's go and build this many domains. First question mark is, in how many months can you bridge this gap? What's safe for the amount of traffic that you have and the amount of backlinks that you already have? Velocity is going to be highly contextual. You need to get those numbers for your site, and ideally we jump on a call and we look into that. The link to do that is on the description box below. If you get yourself a copy of the link report, a 30-minute consultation with either myself or the team, depending on your time zone, is completely complimentary. And instead of looking at just some general numbers on YouTube, you will have this specifically for your unique case. A couple of other things to take into account beyond link building, which I've already told you that we can help you with that, is going to be the following. If we look at Rosenbaum, right, as one of the competitors that we saw was doing really good with their SEO, to get some more context, we can see that they're also doing well in their AI SEO, right? They got a bunch of AI overviews, some mentions in ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, Copilot, fantastic, right? And you can also see that they've been around for quite a long time. Sweet 10 years ago, they're already ranking and getting some traffic, but it wasn't up until around after COVID where they really started moving up in rankings and really capturing terrain, with some ups and downs as different updates come. That's very normal, right? To have these kind of ups and downs. They all get kind of like very quickly corrected, which tells me, guess, that they have a rather competent either in-house SEO team or an agency that they're using to push this, and that if you want to outrank them, you're gonna need some help, some professional help, okay? Because they obviously know what they're doing. They changed something of what they're doing around here, and they've stuck with it, right? They've continued doing it. Something else that's worth noticing here in order to see how far ahead they are is how much content do they have. And they have at least 737 pages that are getting any kind of rankings. And as you can go through the list, you will see they're all heavily related to anything that, you know, dog bite lawyer, motorcycle accident in the Bronx, hit and run accident, brain injury attorneys in the Bronx, right? All tightly related keywords around the niche. Tons of pages around that. So if you're starting from zero, be ready to produce at least a few hundred pages based on your topics for this niche. Great news, 2025 AI is there. You can produce that very cheaply, especially if you compare it with link building, which is going to be the hardest part of the algorithm. But you will need a very strong topical strategy, right? Build the topical map, develop the content, whatnot. The other thing that matters a lot, provided that the site is built well and has good user engagement, basically people are converting and the site doesn't load in 50 seconds, right? Which is the two key points there, is how many branded queries do they have? And they actually have a pretty solid amount of branded searches each and every month. If your firm doesn't have as many, you need to work on your brand volume. A handful of different ways to build brand volume. Get backlinks, because the site will be featured by brand name and tons of other websites with good readership. Eventually that's going to start increasing that. Digital PR backlinks are really good because you will appear on the press. People will look for that. Job postings are really good for that. There's a handful of different ways to increase the amount of branded searches. In the video that I did, the 5 pillars of SEO, in the description box, there's more details on that. But do know that you will need content, that you will need a bit of an age and a history with Google, and that you will need to get some branded searches. If you can cover those, either because you're an agency and you can work on it, or because you have the team to start working on those, and you need the links to do the rest of the job, because once all those boxes are checked, the game is a link building game, because there's only so much content that you can push, and it's only so much that it matters. There's only so many branded searches that you can get, and then it's backlinks. If you want to get the backlinks, we can do it for you. This is the kind of backlinks that we build, okay? We have all the really good stuff, nice strong links that have been helping our clients rank for very many years, and it's built us a great reputation online, okay? If you are ready to take your SEO to the next level, either your brand or your client's brand, if you're an agency looking to get high quality backlinks, and by high I mean real high, not high quality backlinks as everyone freaking says, right? And have the actual intelligence to deliver the results by knowing all the nuance in every single case, exactly what to do to rank any given page. There's a link in the description box below that you can click and get one of these reports, book a call with us, and we'll get you ranking. Okay? Thank you very much for watching. I hope this video was helpful and that you got some good insights and you learned some new things. This was Alex from my hands. Have a good day. Cheers.